some words. Because one of the things is you probably have noticed from the last releases, the library system is between extending hours and just being a resource. And actually, I want to say like one of the last activations, I think more people
at libraries than
at the cooling centers, actually. So if you want to give me, like, we're good? Okay.
I guess they're going to start now.
Okay, they're starting now. Okay, hey everybody, Dennis Thralt here, Multnomah County Communications. Just want to welcome folks to a very impromptu but important press event just to talk about this weekend's heat wave, the risks to folks, the safety tips folks could avail themselves of. We won't be able to talk about cooling center decisions yet. That's going to come tomorrow, so just stay tuned for another announcement and probably more logistics at a place where we can go and do this again tomorrow with different details. But we have a lot of events this weekend. We also start our heat response. There's outreach, there's things that happen before we get to the point of opening cooling centers. But today we've got Brendan Haggerty from the Multnomah County Health Department. We have Annie Lewis, Director of Multnomah County Library, to talk about some of the resources and some of the work and give some messaging. So I'm going to hand over to Brendan, and then after Brendan talks a little bit, we'll have Annie come up, and then we'll come up and take questions. So thanks all for being here, and I will let Brendan take the microphones.
Hi folks, thanks for joining us today. The message we want to get out is that we're entering into a dangerous heat event. This is the kind of event that will be longer and more severe than basically anything we've experienced this summer. And it wasn't that long ago that we had a severe heat event, and we saw a lot of people in the emergency department and urgent care clinics with heat illness. So we want to make sure that folks see this coming, take steps to prepare, take steps to plan. This is especially important this weekend when we have a lot of big events in the community. We have the Hood to Coast Relay, we have the Hawthorne Street Fair, Marianas Festival, and the Foodie Land up at the Expo Center. All these outdoor events are places where people will have a lot of exposure to heat, and we need to make sure that both the organizers and the attendants and participants are making lots of plans to stay safe. That starts with hydrating, scheduling your activities for the cooler part of the day in the morning hours as much as you can, and then making plans to check on the older folks in our lives, especially folks who are living at home. And a lot of us maybe don't think of ourselves as vulnerable to heat, but in an event like this where it stays hot at night and where it lasts for days and days, that's when all of us can start to have real vulnerability to heat illness and even death. The last thing I just want to emphasize for folks who are watching, especially folks who are going to be really active during the heat, if you're a participant in, say, the Hood to Coast Relay, is that heat stroke is a life-threatening emergency, and it requires immediate medical attention. So if you observe signs or symptoms of that in yourself or in others, you want to be calling 911 or seeking immediate medical help. So those are the high-level things that we wanted to share. I'm going to invite the director of Multnomah County Libraries, which is an incredible resource in so many ways, but especially in an extreme heat event. It's an excellent, safe place where people can go to cool down.
Can we get your name and title again?
Yeah, I'm Brendan Haggerty. I'm the Healthy Homes and Communities Manager at Multnomah County Health Department.
Hi everyone, my name is Annie Lewis. I'm the Library Director for Multnomah County Library, and I just want to share a little information about what public libraries do during these types of heat events. So as folks know, public libraries are open to everyone, and we're really happy to be able to provide cool spaces with air conditioning where folks can hang out and just be. We have furniture and comfortable seating as well as Wi-Fi and computers available where people can come. They can come with families. We have spaces for children in all of our libraries and spaces for the whole family. During this heat event, we'll be open at our open library locations. Our hours and locations are available on our library website at multcolib.org. We are looking into extending hours at some of our library locations over the weekend. Those decisions will be made in the coming days and updated on our library website as decisions are made. We have some library locations that are closed for construction during our Library Capital Bond program, so it's important for folks to visit our library website to check out the latest information of open hours. Thank you.
Come back up. We'll get to questions, and I just want to reinforce what you're seeing. You know, we'll have a decision tomorrow on cooling centers, but I think of it like an iceberg. There's the tip of the iceberg that sticks out of the water. That's the cooling center announcement. And then you've got all the work, all the resources below the water that people don't think about. That's the outreach to property managers, outreach to folks who are unsheltered. It's the libraries that are available offering cool respite. There's a dozen other places on our GIS map. And we have information like this on our Help for When It's Hot page. So folks should go to multco.us/hot for all the latest information on what's open, what's available, and also to learn about risks, learn about the signs of heat stroke, learn about the signs of other heat illness. That's all on our website right there. So with that, I'll open for questions. Just let us know who you want to ask the question to, and we'll bring them up. And I'll go left or right.
Let's start with you.
Yeah.
What do you want people to know about, like, I mean, every time we go to a meeting, it's a budget restriction. Is there anything keeping you guys from opening anything? What do you want people to know?
No, we work with the National Weather Service. Our thresholds for when we open have not changed in light of any budget decisions or anything. We have our same thresholds, and we are always working on standing up the right response when the thresholds determine we need to open that response.
My question is for Director Annie Lewis or the county, but it was interesting for me to hear that there were more people using the library as a resource than even those shelters. Can you guys kind of speak about that? And also speak about, are you seeing an increase? I know we just had that heat wave earlier this month. Did you see an increase of patrons coming into the library?
Yeah, so the libraries are really a critical resource, and we do see folks that come use the library for the heat event. We did see, at some of our locations, we saw door count increase during the heat event, the most recent heat event. Central Library is one example that saw an increase, as well as Albina Library. And so folks, it's important to note too that folks come for library service as well, so it's hard for us to distinguish folks that are coming specifically to get out respite from the heat and those that are using library services. But yes, we do see a lot of folks that utilize our space, particularly because we have comfortable seating, we have Wi-Fi, we have computer, we have amenities that folks can utilize while they're here.
Who's the target who's the target audience that you want to hear these tips to?
I mean, really everybody who is affected by heat. So we don't, I think and Brendan, you might want to actually share more about this, but
Specific groups?
yeah,
that you're-
Yeah, when we look over the past few years at the folks who are most impacted, the folks most likely to become ill during heat or to die during heat, it's older adults who live alone are the demographic that comes up to the top of our list. But with an event like this, as I said, that's going to stretch on for days and days, that expands the population of people who are vulnerable to heat. So it's important for everyone to make a plan to stay cool.
I'll give you a chance to do a free pitch. You have a neighbor who's elderly or doesn't have a lot of family in town, you know they don't have air conditioning. Here's a free chance for you to pitch for people to check on their neighbors.
Yeah, it's a great time to check on neighbors, and even to do more than that, stop by with a cool drink, invite them over for movie night if you have air conditioning in your home, or suggest a cool place that's safe to go get respite from the heat.
For Dennis probably, or either of you,
Yeah.
but obviously we understand that the decision on opening cooling centers isn't going to come until tomorrow. What's your response to somebody who we may have spoke to who says that they need to be open now? What's your response?
well, today we're not seeing the forecasts we usually see when we open. But again, there are other resources. We have on our website, we have a GIS map that has several locations that folks can go to. Movie theaters, the mall, libraries. There are lots of places, dozens of places in fact, where folks can get some respite. Community centers, government buildings, those places are all available today. We will still then add, it's sort of like almost like a Swiss cheese metaphor. Also, I can use a lot of metaphors today where we're just layering in different responses, and there is a lot open today before we make that formal decision, and there'll be even more resources when we do make a formal decision.
Thank you. You guys talked about rising ED visits. Can you provide any information on the visits that we saw during that most recent heat wave?
Yeah, so on a typical summer day, we're gonna see 0 to 1 people in the emergency departments and urgent care clinics all across the county who are coming in with the complaint of heat illness. During the most recent heat event, we saw 34 over a period of 4 days. So comparing, what we would expect is maybe 4 visits, and we saw 34. That's a really large increase. And the important thing to keep in mind about that is for every person who shows up in an emergency department or an urgent care clinic because they have heat illness, that means there are many others who probably are suffering with subclinical syndromes. They're still ill or experiencing heat stress, heat exhaustion, but it's not quite severe enough to go into the doctor.
I know we ask every time we do this, but what warning signs should people really be on the lookout for?
Yeah, nausea, dizziness, confusion is a symptom of heat stress and heat stroke. Really hot skin. Sweat can be present or not. And a high body temperature is the most severe sign of heat stroke.
What advice do you have for the Hood to Coast athletes? And have you been in conversation with Hood to Coast organizers? And if so, what have those conversations been like? Or what have you talked about?
Yeah. So we have been in touch with the organizers of Hood to Coast. They've shared their plans for hot weather, which are pretty robust, and they have a lot of resources at the exchange points for the relay. I think if I were participating in the relay, I would consider skipping legs that are in the hottest part of the day. We have, as of right now, it looks like there's something like 7 hours of the day that will be over 90. And I would also, make sure that I'm hydrating a lot, resting well, and then cooling down as fast as I can after my leg.
That's the people running. Do you have anything you want to say to people maybe support or want to go watch the Hood to Coast? What can they do? What can they look for? What would you want to say to those people?
Yeah, hydration and shade for yourself, but also if you're an observer of the event, that makes you another part of the safety system that can monitor folks for signs or symptoms of heat illness. So familiarize yourself with those signs. There's some great guides on Help for When It's Hot, our county website. That'll make you prepared to be a helper on the course.
Or Brendan or for Dennis, are there any efforts that the county has been doing? I know you talked about that iceberg metaphor, but can you kind of just describe in more detail what efforts you guys are doing as far as outreach and some of the preparation for this heat event?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've been in constant contact with different property managers, our vulnerable clients who work with Department of County Human Services, other county departments. We have data that comes from our buildings now. That's a new thing we didn't have, and we've been able to help coordinate. We might have more to say about this, getting some air conditioners from the city's program over to one of those buildings, and to make sure that we're sort of seeing this real-time response. And that's all summer. We had the last heat wave. Those conversations kept going. They predated that heat wave. They happened during it. They kept happening. They're happening now. That's really important for folks to know that, folks can get somewhere cool who are in those units without air conditioning. And our outreach teams are going all across the county. They've picked up supplies from our supply center. They're going to bring cooling gear to people who are unsheltered and help them get into cooling centers if we open those. That's also something that happens a little bit before we open cooling centers, and will continue as long as the heat requires us to do that.
Fortunately, unfortunately, these heats keep year after year keep getting worse and more frequent. Are you more prepared now than you think you were like 10 years ago because of the consistency?
I would say there's been a lot of changes and adjustments and additions to the heat response. When I started at the county, we didn't always open formal cooling centers. We didn't do these press conferences. These are new things. This website didn't exist. It's not there anymore. But it was up there. These are all things we've layered on, and I think Brendan can talk even more about some of the things that health has done to help with this.
Yeah, I would say even since the 2021 heat dome, which was, eye-opening for everyone in the community, we had never experienced heat that way. And some of the systems that we have now to respond to heat were not in place at that time. And, especially for opening a cooling center on short notice, we have more supplies ready to go. We have agreements with buildings in place. And it's really a testament to to a lot of agencies across the community, especially Multnomah County Emergency Management, that it feels so much more like a well-oiled machine at this point.
More people are going to be coming into the library. I hate to ask it, will there be an increase in security?
So when the library extends hours, we do expand hours for our security officers. So we add that additional layer of security when we serve as cooling spaces. So, and of course, we're always monitoring for if there's a need for additional security officers. Our Security Operations Center can dispatch patrol officers to respond as needed as well.
So, get maybe one more. And if we got it, we got it. Okay. All right. Thanks all. Oh, actually, yes, please.
I wanted to make one correction. I was asked about the door count from our last heat event. We saw an increase in door count at Central, Midland, and Gresham libraries. Albina saw a slight decline in door count as compared to the prior week.
Thank you, Annie. Okay.
Yes, of course.
All right. Real time. Thanks all for being here. Just as important for folks is to get the word from you all as anything else. So really appreciate it. Thank you.